What's up, guys? Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the side-scroller tutorial series. So I'm very excited about that. I always love doing this on Friday. And yeah, this is the first time I didn't have to change anything for the stream. So hopefully everything looks and sounds good. Let me know if it does not. We're gonna just hop right into it today, and then I'll start explaining kind of what the plan is and things like that. Just set this up so that I can read the chat more easily. Okay, I think we're good. So welcome in, everyone. I saw Tom, Grandma's here. I don't know what you'd like me to call you. If you'd like me to call you Anima Mundi, but I can call you whatever you want. Whatever is your preferred name on here. Thank you so much for being here. I love seeing you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, so today we're gonna continue with the side-scrolling game, obviously. And specifically, I want to go over shops, like stores, so buying things from a shop. Really, it's just gonna be, we already did the inventory. We did the inventory in the last episode. I'll go ahead and show that off real quick, if I can remember. Is it E? And then I don't know what key it is to bring up the menu. There we go. There we go. What button? Okay. 1 and Z. E and Z. Alrighty. So we have this inventory. It's very basic inventory. It's not meant to look great or anything. You can't actually do anything, like selecting it doesn't do anything, because we don't have any items. But the fact of the matter is we can store structures, in this case an item, and it can have anything we need it to have. So it could have name, description, stats about it, you know, maybe rarity. It can have anything. And so that's what we really need on our items. So we have that, and that's good. Now, we were kind of rushed at the end because I made some adjustments last minute, so you can see that the inventory doesn't have, like, you know, a background or a good way to get rid of it or anything. But this was just to show off that we can use the inventory and pick up items. And then we have that little widget at the bottom that says add item to inventory and add item to. These are just the names of the items. So we're going to basically expand on that. And I want to put up like a shop area, because I want to be able to use the currency in our game. We do have currency, believe it or not. Basically, this little circle here is like a coin, and you can see in the top right, that's our gold or whatever. It's really silver, I guess. But we have all the freedom we could want there. So, we're going to basically use that to purchase items within an in-game store. And the reason I kind of want to do this a little bit earlier, you know, before we have everything completely working, is because I kind of want to, you know, doing the mechanics, like the store mechanics and buying things from an in-game store. Way to go, Sean, just showing my support. Thank you so much for coming by and showing your support. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think showing, like, creating a shop or some sort of in-game store is really beneficial to knowing how we want our inventory to work, because we can decide right then and there. Do we have a limit? If we have a limit, and this is how we're obtaining our items / weapons or whatever, then we need to make sure we do this before we are able to acquire the item. And we also want to make sure we can, you know, basically do this change of you lose gold or currency, whatever, to acquire this item. And why that's so important is Everglades had requested that we do it so that you can buy things from the main menu, kind of like how Resident Evil does their optional content shop, you know, their bonus content shop. So there's a few things we can do where we have like this in-game store, we have this additional store, and they can even overlap in some cases. And I figured, why not? Let's do that. So without any hesitation, let's just jump into it. Now, I had almost no time to prepare after work today, so I apologize. I was supposed to get Everglades models in here. I unfortunately did not, and that's on me, but it's just because I was busy, so I am sorry. But they will be in for next time. This time, we won't even really use them. They were just going to go in our inventory. I was going to show them off, but next time, for sure, they will be in. So let's do it. First things first, as always, with all these things that we're testing out, this is like our test bed here. We need something to indicate what our store is, right? So I think I'm gonna do it here. Maybe like in this spot right here. Make some room. I'm gonna make an object here. Hey Everglades, nice to see you. I was just talking about you and how I was not able to get the models in. I apologize. I know I'm the worst, but I was a little bit late starting the stream even, so anyway, I can do it. If we get to that point in the tutorial, I would definitely do it. Otherwise, I'll just wait till next week, but they're looking great, and I'm really happy with them. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that, for real. I really, really appreciate that. That is so awesome. I can't even tell you, because I never have assets that I really want, and I could go buy them from the store, but like, you know, I don't know. I don't really feel the need to do that for the tutorial, so. Okay. So we're just gonna get started by making, you know, our store, our object that the player can interact with. And the good thing about this too is this isn't even just, you know, good for in-game stores and things. It's also good just to show another interaction type. Remember, we have the interaction type with the item. Now I'm going to show you how we can separate that, and you have different interactions based on the item it is. In other words, I was like, it's hard, you know, it's hard. Like, I'm like, I got so much time, I'll definitely be able to do it. And then we were talking, it was like 3 o'clock or something. I'm like, I don't know, because I have to stay late today. Anyway, it happens quick, so it's not your fault, don't worry. Alright, yeah, let's just put it in objects, I guess. You know, we're going to do the same basic thing we always do. So I'll just make the entire store an actor, and it'll be like, I'll call it a shop. I know I keep calling it a store. You know, a shop is a better, like, gaming term for it. So we'll call it a shop from here on out. Let's call it shop. We'll call it base shop, because if you wanted to have potentially, like, you know how Pokemon has, like, the Pokemarts, and then they also have the Pokemon Centers. They're different. So, you know, if you want to have different types of shops, you might have a base shop and other things like that. And for now, I won't have it be its own room or anything. You can definitely set that up. It's pretty easy. When we go over level transitions, you can just transition into it when you enter the shop. You know, if you're thinking of like the messenger, or again, Pokemon comes up here, then that would work great. You could absolutely do that. I'm not going to do that today because we have not gotten into level transitions or level streaming. But once we do that, that will be absolutely possible. And basically, it's going to be very simple, guys. So we're going to add a mesh here. We can add a static mesh. I mean, if you wanted to make it a skeleton, you could. Some, you know, there's parts that there's definitely moving buildings in games, you know, for more animated style, but it's really, I doubt it's necessary. I think the starter content used to have like a few buildings that it came with. I don't know if they're still here. Looks like everything's broken up. I'm trying to make it so that it's kind of nice for us, so we can kind of see what's going on. It doesn't have to be fancy, because if we're going to continue on this game, then, you know, obviously we can change it as much as we'd like down the line. That's not a problem, but I do want to make it look kind of nice for us. So maybe... I don't know, there's nothing really... I mean, we can use a... Oh, I don't know if this is going to look nice or not now, but we'll just play around with it for a minute or two here. So this is like the counter. I don't know how big this is going to be. This might be really huge. I mean, we could get really crazy if you want. Sorry, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Let me get rid of. I don't know why I'm doing this, but you know, sometimes you just gotta have fun. So we could actually put the mannequin like chilling behind the shop, and we could give him a little animation and everything if we had one. We don't really have like a shopkeeping animation, but you know, you get as fancy with it as you want. Thing is, this is all good game development. This is all one object, all right? Let's give him an animation of some sort. We use a specific animation asset. We don't have much to work with here. Walking behind the counter. That looks pretty good. I don't know that. I mean, he can just have the idol. He doesn't really have to do anything if he's just standing there, I guess. So this is kind of funny. We're getting a little creative here. But I guess I'm going to rotate this on the actual object because it's... Sorry guys. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt. Yeah, I did it the wrong way too. Hold on, give me a second. 270. No, that doesn't matter for that. 270. Like I said, we have a little bit of fun here, alright? So we'll do it something like this. And that'll just have to be good enough. Alright, so we got our shop here, okay? And I just have to see this in action because I think it's going to be hilarious. Okay, I love it. Alright, so here's our shop, and then we'll basically need to put a trigger where it would sit so that we know that we are going to be interacting with the shopkeeper here. You know, if you want to put it directly in the way and you stand on the counter or whatever, that's fine. But I think this is kind of okay. I'll put it a little bit closer. I don't think that'll block. Let me just make sure really quickly. Definitely don't want to impede our progress if we don't want to. Should be fine. Okay, cool. Skeletal mesh should be a child. Static mesh should be translated with that. Yeah, it's true. We could do that. The only problem with that is, I mean, I don't really intend for this to be the shop. I mean, we can keep this. If I do this, it will actually change the scale if we change it together too. So that could be good. We can do that. We're going to have an actual level for it, but there you go. That will work if you'd like. If you feel so inclined, we can use that. But there we go. So now we have... This is good enough. Just basically this nice little shop area here. And what we can do now is determine basically the radius of which we can enter the shop. So it doesn't have to be a specific spot. Like, we don't have to do any sort of raycast or anything. We can either do a distance thing or just a general overlap. Now, if we're going to do them Castlevania style... I'm specifically thinking of like Castlevania Symphony of the Night and that kind of era of the Castlevania games. They did actually have shops. They only had like 2 per game that I can think of. There might have been, you know, it depends on the game and everything. Specifically in Symphony of the Night. I can only think of 2. There might have been more. But basically, they're like this little area with a floating book that you could go and purchase items. So as far as that goes... You know, this is actually okay. We can basically leave it like this. It's just something in the scene that you go, and once you walked up within a certain area of, then you could interact with it. So we'll follow that logic. If you want different logic for your shop, obviously, feel free to change it. But that is basically the general idea of how I've done it. We could also, like, if we're going to parent things, we can also parent the collider to the mesh. I don't, you know, that one's a little bit weirder than the skeletal mesh because we'd have to make it extra large to be able to go outside of it. So I might just do it separate. But you have a good point with the parenting for sure. So remember, this is the radius in which we want to be able to interact with this item. Yes, this is about shops and everything, but think about this on a bigger scale. Think about this for what we can use it for. It's not about the shop. It's about having more interactable objects. And those shops work with press A button to interact when you stay in the air. Exactly. Exactly. You got it down exactly. So we're going to make this bigger. We're going to make our area bigger. Now, I'm actually going to encompass both directions like this. Maybe even a little bit more. Maybe even like 200. I know we're on a 2D plane, okay? But I do want to give room for error in case we want to put shops a little bit farther back or closer forward. And for those of you who may have worked with games before and you're saying, you know, just make it changeable for the shop. We could do that, absolutely. Again, I like to point out because people comment on a lot of my videos. I realize this is not the only way to do it. You know, we can do it however you want. Like, change it for what fits for you. I will probably always try and put it so that this collider works. If you want to make your collider bigger or make it a reference that you can access and just see if they're within the collider, feel free, you know? Every game is different, so feel free to take it in any direction you want. Now I'm going to make it a pretty big area, probably just about this is fine, and I'm actually going to increase the height a bit, not too much because I don't want to access it from like a different level, but I do want to be able to access it if I'm like up on something, you know, say there's steps or something we want over here, I should be able to kind of walk up them and still interact with it. So we want, yeah, like you had said, we want to be able to press a button to interact while we're within it. So this will be our range where we can interact with it. So I'll make this 70. There's so many ways you can have the shop function, such as traveling, merchant, and Zelda-like games. Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many ways. So we can even do more than one. Like, that's the beauty of programming, and that's why I have such a big log, because when I started, I'm like, yeah, we can get all the mechanics. Like, it's not bad. And then you realize, like, individual mechanics, a single move can deserve a video a lot of the time, because doing that can be so much different than any other move. So trust me, guys, we can do as many things as we want. I've envisioned it this way. I'm not saying there's like, this is the best way. This is just the way I was seeing it. So we can definitely change it later or add more. But this is also the base shop, so we could always make a child of this and then make the shop fit our needs. And you can see this definitely will have us within the range. So this is good. I'm gonna move this button even a little bit closer. I like these buttons that activate the door, but I do want to make sure this is like its own area. So let me move this stuff as well. So that's fine. Let's just move it over here. All right, there we go. So now we have this range that we can interact with, and I'm going to rename this, and I'm gonna call it, you know, just like interaction box. I think that's good enough. Basically, it's just so we know what this box is for. Now, guys, there's been something in particular that I've been kind of dancing around that you guys always pick up on. You're like, you know, why isn't this easier? So yes, collision. I kind of always dance around collision because I am never completely comfortable with it, and there's a reason for that. So collision is weird because when I used to do it, I used to write a game engine from scratch. I did it in school, and then my first internship, I had to do a little bit of engine code writing. So the way we used to do collisions was a lot more simple to me, and the way the way Unreal does collisions is a little bit weird to me. But I took some time and did some research, and I think I have it down a little bit better. So I think I can make this work in a way that's even better than the way I normally do it. Now, for something like the hitboxes in the fighting game, those are okay. If you're just doing a simple check at one time, that's perfectly all right. But I think I have it down to where I can make this work without changing the collision settings on the character. I'm not entirely sure. I have not tested it, but I am learning about it, and I'm trying to make it better for you guys so that I can teach you the proper information. Yes, everything we've done so far works for collision, but I want to make sure that I'm giving you the proper information that is as accurate and as performance, as best for performance as possible, right? So we're going to try something. It's basically the same thing we always do, but we're not going to change the character's collision, and we're not going to use a component of the character. We're going to use the collision of the object, the overlap of the object, and we're going to check specifically against the mesh of the object, which sounds a little bit funny, but apparently, looking at Unreal's documentation, using either the whole character or a component that has a visible visible part of it, like the mesh, is actually better than just trying to compare it against another box or against another collision type. And so we're gonna try it out, all right? You know, again, I never paid it much thought because I'm just like, oh, Unreal collision is a pain in Unreal. But I took some time. We're gonna try it right now. So this is overlap all right now. I see Eunice is here. Thank you so much for coming by. Eunice is back and he has more noodles. Wow, noodles again. And Eunice's headphones are not working, so I can't hear you. I'll be right back. I like the third person speak. Well, thank you so much for coming by. I am so happy to have you. All right, so let's do it, guys. All right, we're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna go into our base shop BP. We're gonna go on the object like we normally would and hit on component begin overlap. All right, now this is what we would normally do. But what we were doing before, we were checking against the character to see if we collide with the character. And this can be a little bit weird. So if the other actor does not work in this case, which I think it will, if it doesn't work in this case, we can specifically use the character's mesh as the check. And that should fix the issue without dealing with all the collision trouble. So you ready? We're going to just drag off the other actor, and we are going to cast to our type. There's no way around that. We have to know that we're looking at the right type. I forget exactly what I called it. I think it's Paladin. There we go. We have to do this regardless. This is the intended method. Okay, and then what we need to do is if this succeeds, we can pop up the prompt, right? Now, I already have a function for this, or at least I should, because of the base inventory item. So it's the pop-up item widget. Now, this is the item widget, okay? So we might want to make a new one entirely. We could technically patch the shop name in here, but the only issue I see with that is if we want it to be a generic text, we could just do like press A to interact, you know, press a key to interact, and we might want to just make that visible or invisible in the HUD, like create it and remove it. And to be honest, I think now the more like widgets and things you have in your game is not going to hurt your memory or your performance. It's the amount of things you have active in the game. So we could have thousands of widgets in the editor, and as long as we're only like using the ones we need and removing them when we're gone, it won't hurt performance. So I think because I'm trying to keep this game clean and I want to teach you guys the right methods, then I think let's just make a new one. Let's not try and hack this. You know, we already have logic up there that works, but let's just make a new widget, and we will call it, we'll make it generic because I don't think the shop itself has to be, user interface. I don't think the shop itself has to be anything, but we'll say press key to interact. All right, so we already have the pop-up item widget, but we can also just do a press key to interact that just literally has text. We'll make it 1920. Oh, sorry. 1920. The size is probably fine. We'll put it around. This is gonna bother me if they're not the same. There we go. All right, we will center the text, and we will keep this a static text. By the hitboxes, I'm going to implement a cool system to make my hitboxes work even better. Thanks for recent tutorials. I passed event by timer. It's great. Hey, that is awesome. See, that is what I want to hear. So that is perfect because, see, you're just going and taking a direction that you feel is necessary, and that is the best thing you can do when you're making a game. Because you just, you know, you're like, this is how I want to do it, and this feels good. And then I can learn from that too. And that goes for everyone. And no matter what series, what tutorial it is. You know, you can take it a direction, you can implement something new, and then I can go, oh man, that was really cool. So that is awesome. Good luck. I mean, it looked like it was working. The method looked good. I think it'll be solid. But let me know if there's any issues you run into. Let me know if it actually works better, if you think it's cleaner, because, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm not intending to be. So there's plenty that if it looks better, if it works better, if it's easier, excellent. I hope you're having a good day, Sean. Thank you, Eunice. Yeah, I'm having a great day. You know, I finished work a little bit late. Well, not late, like, I woke up a little bit later, and then I had some stuff to take care of. So I started later, so I got out later. But no, everything's good. I did that, and now I'm here, and this is the best. So I'm going to call this just, like, press key text. But I'm not even going to make this a variable. This is literally going to be a static text. So I'm going to say press, what, Z? Is it Z? It's not Z. I think it's 1. But really, I should bind the text though to be the key. Actually, is that what I did? Did I just do press interact to enter shop? But that's not generic. Press interact to access? I don't know. Press interact to interact. I almost want to leave it like that because that's pretty funny. Let me see if I have the right input here. Press use to interact. I mean, we could do this. We'll figure out the semantics of that later, but you get my point. Sorry, Eunice hopes Sean is having it. I'm having a great day. Thank you very much. But see, now we can have this method where, you know, this can be applied to anything. So we can be as specific as we want. We could have a shop interaction, but we can also just press some random text here that lets the character know. For now, this is good enough. Let's just do that. So if we begin overlapping, then we want to create widget, and we want to create this widget. So this is the press key to interact. And we want to add that to the viewport. Okay, and you can pretty much imagine where we go from here. It's the same as the last episode, so I'm not going to waste too much time on this, but I do think it's the right move to do this. So then, yeah. So we should also make sure one thing is up at a time. You can also see it's kind of, since we're never removing it, it's getting beefier and beefier, which don't worry, we're going to remove it. We'll do it right now. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name. Promote to variable. And this is pretty much, this method is pretty standard. This is not something I'm kind of, we'll just call it widget reference. Now guys, there's something important here that we need to do. And I actually did do this on purpose. Sometimes I stumble upon these, but this one was intended. So let me show you. So first of all, once we stop interacting with this, we can, you know, do a validated get on this. And if it's valid, we can go ahead and remove it. All right, and this will be good for the actual shop itself, so I'll show you that working. And you guys already know this, so again, that's why I'm trying not to waste too much time on it, but I do think it's important. So we have press use to interact, and it goes, get out of here. It goes away when we leave. But there's this issue. So for this, on event, yes, exactly. Exactly. Remove it when we end overlap, and that is excellent. But there's also this issue. So the way we can handle this is to limit there being only one thing on the HUD in that area at a time. Now, there's a few ways we can handle that too. So we could either actually have the text decided by HUD. So have, you know, every time a new one comes in, override the other one and only have one text there. Because otherwise, look, if you have widgets here, then, I mean, there's no way to stop it, right? Or, this is a... This one you have to be a little bit careful with, because if you do it this way, you do have to make sure that if there's another widget, you get rid of it. So, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can actually get all widgets of class, okay? And you could actually check for the other widget. So if there's a pop-up item widget already, so say there is, then I can actually, I can loop through them, and I can remove them from parent before we create the other one. Now I'd have to do this on the other as well. This method isn't bad, but there is a reason that I'm kind of, you know, it's not the best method, is because we have to be really careful that for every widget we want to do this for, we have this logic in here. Also, you have to reduce the area of the shop interaction is too large. No need to limit if areas will not overlap each other, just reduce the errors. Correct, but I'm actually doing this on purpose so that we can kind of show this off. Because imagine a game, and maybe even this game, where you drop multiple items. So say you can drop items from your inventory, and say you drop them at the same spot. You're going to have overlap. There's no way around it. So let's go ahead and handle that now, because I think it's important, especially while we're going to be buying things from a shop. The shop logic won't take us very long, so we got plenty of time. But now we can actually remove them, and you'll see this will only work for the one right now. This will only work for the item first. So you see this, if I am to be on the item and then hit the shop, you see it doesn't blend. If I'm on the shop and hit the item, it does blend. So we can just copy this logic before we spawn the other widget, and that will work. So we can do that. It's not a bad method. It's not bad for performance or anything like that. Sorry. I have to remember where it's at. Here we go. So this is not a bad method. So don't think it's a bad method, okay? But the thing you do have to be aware of is if we do it this way, we do have to know for every widget that we want to overlap that this logic exists. So that is something we have to keep in mind. I will show you the other method as well. And you don't have to deal with that method, but it's a little bit more complicated. And it's also not entirely necessary. That's the thing. It's a little bit overkill. But now that I've added these, watch this. I've been playing Minecraft since I was 7, now I'm 13. Have I ever beat the game? No, I didn't. Hey, you know, you got invested in playing it. That's all it takes. So now, hold on. There we go. I did not have the right class in there. Yeah, I know. Unreal does not like it when you change the array item. There we go. Let's try that again. This is cool beans. Hey, nice to see you. I hope you're enjoying. So look, now we can walk into this and it will automatically override it with the most up-to-date one. You see that? Now, the only issue that you could get here is if you leave at like the right spot, if you're kind of halfway colliding with it, you might get nothing to pop up until you overlap again or exit again. It would be pretty hard to do it. And look, you can see, look at the issue. If you're colliding with two items, it can also still happen. The shop guy looks like a nice, he's pretty kind. I like him. I like him quite a bit. So yeah, and then, but see, here's the issue. Here's the issue that I was talking about. Now with this, we can get the items doing this too. So if we really want to do this, then we have to do this for every item. Now we could make a function and we can just pass the class type in. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if we want to do that, we can do that right now. So the way you would do that is, oh sorry, I'll keep this here. now. So let's make a function. Actually, this should genuinely not be a function made in here. So if let's go down this route, because actually this is really interesting. I think you guys will appreciate this. So I think I've made these before, but I apologize. I make a lot of stuff for a lot of different projects. Some of them are personal, some of them are work. It's hard for me to remember sometimes. Change the type of widget you were looking for. Exactly. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna force it to be every type that we need. And this is okay. It's not too bad on performance. The main issue is just that it's a lot of upkeep, and generally that's considered bad. The other solution is, like I said, you put one object in your HUD, and that's the only one that you display. It's alright, like, for me that's a little bit overkill, because then you always have to send stuff to your HUD and keep track of everything in there. There's no nice way around it, in my opinion. So I usually do this. I think a lot of people would actually disagree and say the other one's easier. But there you go. I gave you the two methods that I can really think of. I still haven't decided how to approach kitty items. Chat, any idea? Like what items you want, or what? Like how to approach what part of the items. Is coding gravity hard, like when jumping? I've only really coded gravity once on my own. Usually, and that was in the custom engine I was telling you about. Usually when you're making gravity, if you're doing it in an engine, it will come with it, but it's not too hard. You can actually use the actual gravity equation to figure it out. So you can actually do like any of your physics or math equations, and they usually can translate to the game as long as you actually have appropriate values for those variables. So it's not too bad. It's definitely, you know, something worth looking into. So the blueprint interface. All right. Look at this, guys. This is awesome, and I love it. So blueprint interfaces, you can read this if you want. What this does is I can make a function in here, and then I can apply the interface to a class, I believe to a widget. If not, I might have, or I don't need to do it to the widget, I need to do it to the item, so it'll definitely work. But you can call a function, you can create the function in this blueprint interface, and then everywhere with that interface can use those functions. In code, this is just like including that interface, so it's really useful. We can go ahead and create this, and we'll call this like general item interface, or I guess let's call it general object interface, because I want this to go for the shop, you know, potentially other things. So here, when you get in here, you can't actually add any logic in here. You're just setting up functions. So you can just rename the one that's there, and we'll call this remove pre-existing. It's weird because I want to do, right? Isn't it pre-existing? I think it's too like that, but pre-existing is like the best word for that, but I kind of don't like the way it looks. So remove existing widgets. There we go. So we have this remove existing widgets. Now if we go into our objects that we want to perform this functionality in, so for example the base inventory item, we can go to the class settings here and look at the interfaces section in the details, and then we can use our new interface. I called it general object interface. And now I can actually grab this function. So I believe it comes out as an event, like I don't need to actually put it in a function, but I can call it now. So the function name is remove existing widgets, and I can call the function. All right. I just don't know what items to give cats. Catnip, toys. I don't know. That's a good question. That is a tough one. Do you reuse code? Yeah, absolutely. Reusing code is good as long as you can write code that's, you know, can be pulled out of the project and used somewhere else and it's performance efficient. Absolutely. Item for cat. Mouse toy, litter box, bell collar, name a few. That's true. That's a good one. Don't question me, but will you be making hats for the cats? That's a great question. You're a genius. That is. It's true. Hats were a must. Let's go. You guys got the right idea. And now look, we can use this remove existing widgets as an event. So now I'm accessing the event on the interface. I don't have all this duplicate code, what I can do is just perform the logic for this class. So what I want to do for this class is I want to remove all widgets of this type. Okay, and I want to, we could pass in a variable and give it a type and all that, and call it a different event. For now, since we only have 2, I'm just going to go like this. And I'm just going to use the other type. And this is actually, I'm not being lazy. I don't really think we'll have too many pop-ups like that. Like, think about any game, even a larger scale game. Like, I've been playing Resident Evil Village lately. Think about Resident Evil Village. You can do what? You get ammo pickups, health pickups, which all fall under the same. And you sometimes get things for interactions. There's 2 things for the whole game. So I don't really need to, like, go out of my way to make this great function if I'm not going to use it. So here we go. Just like that. Alright. And now I should actually just, in all honesty, we can close this now. By the way, you can add inputs here to your functions. So if you need to add the class type, you could add the class type. In all honesty, since I'm doing it this way, I don't really need to separate the logic. Like, the base shop BP can also just have the same one. So basically what I'm saying is I can take this out, I can paste the logic I had of the event, I can add the interface to my shop, I can get the remove existing widgets. Sorry, I have to call it. This is the message that the compile. Is that why? There we go. There we go. And see, I can just do this. Now, if you have more, more complex functionality, that's when interfaces are really great because you can actually just separate the logic. But what I wanted to demonstrate here is that we have the base shop and we have the base item, which are not actually related. They're not a parent-child relationship, they're not a friend class, and yet we can still have events that are shared between them that are now being used in one spot from the interface. So we're good on performance and we're good on our functionality. So now when we go over objects, we have our shop, we have our item, and look, the item will kick out the other item. Now, you see how sometimes nothing shows up? That's because we're still technically overlapping with the first item. We overlap with the second, which deletes the first, and then we never ended overlap with the first because we stayed in the middle. So that issue is one that, you could keep a list of the messages or the widgets and just set their visibility. For me, I usually just ignore it. In the games I've made, I've normally ignored it because, the thing is, like, if I have 2 things overlapping each other, think about it. Have you played Borderlands, okay? When you drop a bunch of items in a row, all the time you're focused on the wrong one. So it's not really an issue because if you have all these items overlapping each other, it's going to be a problem. Now, if you want to fix it, because I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, you keep a list of them, you set the ones invisible, you set the newest one visible, the older ones invisible, and if one gets removed, you put the new one, the last one on the pile, the last one on the stack that you put in to be visible if the top one gets removed. Okay? So if you ever want to learn about that, we can cover that. It's a little bit more complex than is necessary for right now. I think it's about time we get into the shops. But I did want to cover this. I think it's very important moving forward that we know about this because this can make all the difference in your game. If someone's playing your game and they see a bunch of overlapping text, they're going to say, okay, I don't want that. That does not look good. Thanks. Let's go. Sean, have you ever made a game and posted it on Steam or somewhere else? So I made 2 games in college, and one is on Congregate and one is on Steam. But they were both student projects. A personal game I'm making is in development right now. I'm making it with a few friends, and I can't say much about it yet because we haven't announced it, but yeah, that will definitely be going on Steam. And what I do for work is more complicated, and it goes to specific people, again, that I can't really talk about, but I have released that. That's more along the lines of what I do. It's rather to make an input variable for type right now. Better now than later. Yeah, so if we need it. You don't want to go and make too many variables in your functions, because any variable you have to pass data along in the function. So if you have a function that's got too many things and you're not using them, then it will actually make your function call a little bit slower. Now, I agree. You have the right idea. We do want to do it now. You know, we don't want to wait too long. So if we get even just one more pop-up on the screen, I think we do want to add it. If we just have two, and honestly I can't think of a reason for another one, we probably don't need it. I mean, there's no real need for it. It just will save us, it'll save us a little bit of speed every time. And if our logic isn't any more complex, it's okay. So yes, you're right. It is better now than later. But only do it if you're sure you need it. If there's specific cases where you might want to change it for one or two things, and that's it, I would leave it. If you're getting into like 3 or higher, especially like with the hitboxes in the fighting game, you have so many things you have to change, those have to be, you want inputs for those. Absolutely. Right word, upload. Sorry, what did I say about upload? NDA's gotta love them. Oh yeah. Gotta love them. I mean, they are important though. Can your character crouch, or will you be making your character crouch? You cannot crouch right now, but actually we could make them crouch. Anyway, so you see what I mean. There are times when sometimes you won't get text, alright? And I told you how we could fix that. But now let's get into the shop. So for the shop, it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to supply the shop with items or equipment, whatever. We're going to have our currency in the top right corner there. It says 0 right now. And once we can, you know, if we're not able to afford an item, we can't buy it. If we are able to afford the item, then we can buy it, and we can add it to our inventory. Next episode, we'll probably go over equipping armor and things. That's what I want. That's what I planned on. That's what I want to go over. So we probably won't do much with the inventory that we add from the shop today, but it's important that we know how. Now, guys, I'm going to show you something cool. I think you guys will like this. So what we can actually do is when we enter a shop, we can have a cool. We can either snap to a camera that's a little bit closer to the character here, or we can actually apply an animation. My hitboxes are heavy with parameter inputs already. So that's okay. See, that is good. You have the right idea. You're doing well, because hitboxes are so unique. There's not really anything shared between them. So it's perfectly okay that you're doing that. And yours are very heavy, but it's not a bad thing. You're giving the developer, yourself, full use. So good work. It's good. I'm just saying, do be mindful. It actually can make a difference if you have... You'll see sometimes I don't put variables for things. It's not, I'm not trying to be lazy. Sometimes I'm genuinely debating in my head, like, should I do that or not? For the hitboxes, yes. Use as many as you want. You may need to take some down later if it's too slow, but to be honest, I don't really think you will, because the hitboxes, they get cleaned up right after. So you have that memory saved for a short amount of time and then it gets deleted. That's okay. Like, it's okay to do that if it's getting rid of it that fast. So I think you're good. I asked my brother, what are assets? He didn't explain it. Good, can you tell me? What are assets? So assets are pretty much anything that you put in your game. Like images, models, dialogue, you know, different things like that. So we have the Cine camera here. I do kind of want the Cine camera because we can use it to do a little animation. If we wanted to be really fancy, I'd probably actually lerp this. Sorry. I'd probably actually lerp this. I might actually not use a Cine camera though, because we might just use a view target today. So with the shop, okay. So I added a camera here. We'll see if we use the Cine camera or if we just replace it for a regular camera. But you see what it'll do. It'll kind of look like this, and we can display stuff. So anyway, what we need to do now is if we use it and we're overlapping the shop, all right? So in the code, we have is overlapping item, and that's how we were using items. Or I say use object because it's not an item, it's an object. So if overlapped object. So overlapped object, I'll have to close this. The way this works is overlapped object is a base pickup class. So if we're not overlapping with an object and we're overlapping with a, I should call this overlapped item. Let me change this now. So overlap item, so we don't get the words object and item confused. Item is specifically like a base pickup item, an item we can pick up off the ground. Equipment, weapon, whatever. But, you know, we don't just need an item. We might need to know if we're overlapping with the shop, like we do here. So we can do a more generic one as well. I can show you this. We can do a more generic one as well, and we can make this an actor. We can just make it an actor. Now, you have to be careful, because you don't want to make something too ambiguous and you don't know what it is. So, like, if I make this overlapped object, it's going to be a little bit confusing. But I don't want to make it overlap shop because I don't have a shop in code. I only have a blueprint shop class, which is okay. We don't really need a code one for the shop. You could have one. So I'm trying to think. What would I want to call this? Overlapped. So alright. I'm going to call it overlap shop. It's not a good name. But I'm going to do it because I don't want to confuse anyone. Because this is going to be weird if I call it overlapped object afterward. We're going to call this overlap, or we're going to change this to overlap item. Okay. Overlapped item. And then if this fails, only if it fails, we're going to do an else if, just save some performance if it fails. Otherwise, it will never get checked. Overlapped shop. Okay. Just to make it clear what we're doing. The name isn't great, but it's to make it clear. So, for this, now we have to perform the logic to enter the shop. Or to call a function, excuse me, to call a function that could, you know, do whatever logic we need. In this case, we need to enter the shop. So, enter the shop, it's a bit weird, this one, because this could be a game mode function or character function. But because if we want multiplayer to work and we want characters to go in different, they can go in the shop on their own. It's a very specific example, but if we want that, then we want it to go through the character. We want each character to determine if they want to go through the shop. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and make a function that will allow us to use shop. All right, I'm gonna just call it use shop. What languages do you use for cartoony games, realistic games, and in the middle games? So you can use really any language, any engine for any of them. But for cartoony games or stylized games, Unity is a lot of times better because it's simpler to use, quite frankly, and it does a very good job at rendering 2D games and performing logic on 2D games. If you're doing more advanced games, especially games with really hyper-realistic animations, Unreal Engine is great, or Custom Engine is great. In the middle is kind of, yeah, you can use like anything, really. You know, anything. You can easily use a Custom Engine for in the middle. You can use... Unity is actually hard for like strictly 2D games with sprites and stuff. You can do it, but... Or did I say Unity? Unreal is hard for that. Okay, so use shop. So we have this function here. I'm going to actually make this a blueprint implementable event. We might change this to just be blueprint callable, but I just want to make an event for now because I want to call it and I want to get the reference to the shop that we were using. Actually, I don't have to do that. I'm sorry. I can do overlap shop like this, just like we did with the item. Sorry. Overlap shop, just like we did with the item. And I can still make an event, but I can pass in actor. Yeah, so I don't really like this. I don't like that I'm calling it overlap shop, but remember, I'm doing this literally... What did I call the other one? There we go. I'm doing this because we don't have this blueprint dependency of this class type. You look great today, Sean. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I don't really like that it's just an actor. I'd prefer if I could be more specific with it, but this is okay for now, for what we're doing. Power of the COD. K-I-W-D. What is that? It sounds exciting. Like the way you... The power of the... But I don't know what it is. Think somebody can make a game with mobile like game engines. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people already do all the time. It's not too much different. The language is completely different. Okay, we're going to launch this again. The language is completely different, but yeah, we can definitely do it. I like Animamundi getting into it. Getting excited for the power of the shop over here. Anyway, yeah. Wait, what failed? What did I do? Right. And this is why I said I want the use object to be... Oh, power of the code! Got it! The code is the most powerful object in existence. You're absolutely right. I love that. I love that. That is great. That's almost like a... It should be the saying of the channel. The power of code. Alright, so here we go, guys. Now we have this on the character, which is intended. We're not being lazy. This is intended. We have our character. And we have this event called use shop. And we have the object, the shop we're overlapping with. Now, this will only ever get used if overlap shop is valid. So remember, in our shop, here we go, base shop. Now, when we're doing this, just like we did with item, we can do this. Now, this is not a bad way to do it, by the way. I don't know if this seems hacky or not, but this is okay. You should set it when you overlap with it, because that means you don't have to be passing a bunch of data. You already are in the class. You can just go ahead and set the reference to the object. You can just get a reference itself here and just do it like this. There you go. So now this will only be set if we're overlapping with it. So we'll only be able to do this when we're overlapping with it. And if it is, we can now cast it. See this? We can now cast it to be a shop type. So we know, just to be certain, just in case something goes wrong, we now know we want it to be a base shop type. Now, we have the character and we have the type, the shop we're interacting with. So now what we have to do is actually use the shop. So if we go into base shop BP, this should be a shop function. Or an event or whatever. But we need to either call an event or a function that uses the shop. So what do we want to do when we use the shop? Let's start by just looking through the camera. Just that way we know our use shop function is working. And then we'll populate it with items. So let's make a new, we can make a new event or we can make a function. Either way. I think this is more of a, this feels more like a function. So I'll call it enter shop. And first things first, I literally, we can grab the shop camera, set view target, set view target with blend. Uncheck. Set view target with blend. Now, I think this will work. I can't remember if you can do it with a cine camera or not. You actually can't. So we'd have to play a sequence. I mean, we can do that. Let's do that. So let me get rid of. Didn't I use a cine camera before though? Oh, I have to do it on the actor, that's why. Okay, we can do that. Why is my mom and dad room have to be closest to the kitchen? Like, why? Going to make yourself food is like asking to be caught and scolded for being awake. Oh, man, I'm sorry, Eunice. Cast the base shop BP will always success regardless if we have the... will always success regardless of if we have base shop or a child subclass. Exactly. You're absolutely correct. So, I'm trying to remember. I know we can do it with this. I have to create an actor sequence. Alright. Give me a second. This is an actor. So if I just put in self, would this work? Now, we'll want to get the player, if this is multiplayer, we'll want to get the player controller of the player that interacted with it, but for now, we only have one, so this is fine. I'm actually going to check this real quick. I think I'm doing this correctly. There might be a function I'm missing that I might have to look up, though. But anyway, when we use shop, we want to enter shop. And we'll play a little animation, or we'll at least flip to the view. Base inventory item. Okay, go into that. Oh, because I changed the name. Yeah. Yeah. So right here, this is no longer. This is going to be set. Overlapped item. Self. Drag it in, drag it in. There we go. So let's see. I'm actually... Oh, get out of here. I actually can't remember exactly. Yeah, that does work. Okay, that works perfectly. So there we go. It's like we're in the shop. Now, what we really would want to do at this point, it's a little grainy because the cinematic camera is not great at its default settings. I mean, I won't. You can. I just try and keep it family friendly, Eunice. But you're perfectly fine. So cool. All right, that is what we can do. So what I want to do is actually play an actor sequence on this actor. We'll make it quick, but I think it would add a little bit to it if we could do that. You know, you gotta get it. You gotta love what you do. You gotta get into it. So we can bring this up. All right, let's do this real quick, guys. We'll be quick. Actor sequence on the shop. Enter shop sequence. Alright, so now we can open this in tab. Do you know how to use blend shapes? I'm not even familiar with what a blend shape is, to be completely honest with you. But it is... So usually, the way I've seen it, in the games and the projects I've worked on, because we actually did something like that for Sim, is you have materials of the object that you want to use, and it can be kind of randomized based on, like, you know, the actor itself, parts of the material map from the actor, and then it spawns a bunch of instances of them, like in a particle effect, but it's random. The effect itself is randomized. It's got some random elements into it, and then it will just spawn a few in the particle effect and then destroy them once they're done. I'm not entirely sure if that's, I don't know what a blend shape is, so I can get back to you on that, but hopefully what I said makes sense. I know that's the way it's generally done. I can make a video on that. That would be a fun one. I like how Sean pronounced power of the cod, like power of the code, but I didn't get what it meant. It's true, I was like cod. Like, I thought of like a fish, a cod. No, you're good. That was pretty funny though. So you guys might know this, but this is the sequencer, and so I can grab the cine camera that we have here, the cinematic camera, and then I can just add things to it. And we can move the camera around, and life is simple. We can make a nice, neat little animation. So let's start the camera a little bit farther back. Maybe a little bit up higher a little bit. You know, maybe even pitched a little bit. Whoops. So something like that. I mean, you know, it's hard to know without looking at it. That's actually probably too much. But anyway, and then we can add a keyframe. Okay, and then I can get the location and rotation here, and then we can just move it in. It's pretty simple. It can be a 1 second animation. It can be very simple, but we can move it in and rotate it back, and we can add this again. Oh, I did not enable it as a keyframe, so that won't work. Yep. Well, that'll do it then, won't it? Alright, let me redo this. I apologize. Bring these back open. I'm a little bit confused why they left it 0, though. Even when I made them keyframes. Like, I realize I messed it up, but this is the Cine camera. -20. This is the pitch. -20. What? Did I do it off the wrong thing? I did it off the wrong thing is what happened. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so hold on. Why wasn't this work? There we go. What was going on there? I could not get the transform of the camera. That was weird. You guys saw that, so I won't even take blame for that. Alright, here we go. So now we can do it like the way we want it. So I'll bring the whole location rotation just to be safe. And then we'll go a second later. And then we'll just move it where we want it. Probably something like that, you know, wherever, really. I forget exactly. It's been a while. I apologize. I think I'm supposed to create a new... I forget the order I'm supposed to do it. I mean, I can do it here. I know that. But there's a way you can just make it, like, really neat in there. It's fine. We'll just do it this way for now. Change the rotation back. And I want to move this back a bit. Not that close. 200? Maybe even a little bit more. 250? And the Y, or no, the Z can come down as well. Something like that. Simple enough. I just want a basic animation for entering the shop. Then we can bring the sequence into the editor. Play. Is it just play? What is it? Let me check this again. It's either play or start. What is it? Hold on, what is it? What the heck is it? Hold on. Get sequence play. That's what it is. You have to get the sequence player first. Then you do play. Dang it. There we go. Okay, Sean, I'll be leaving. Hope you have an awesome day, and your beard looks great too. Thank you so much, Eunice. Thank you for coming by. I love having you. Have a great night, my friend. I guess Everglades was about... I'm not sure. I thought blend spaces as well, but I feel like blend shapes might be correct. I'm not familiar with it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not sure. I think it's probably something else I just don't know about. Blend shapes to create facial animations instead of... Yes, that is true. So that is true. There's, So the blend... Again, I'm not entirely sure what a blend shape is, but... let me look this up real quick. Blend shape UE4. Let me look at this. Blend shapes. Blend shapes. Sorry, I'm not really familiar with blend shapes, but I do. What you're saying is completely accurate. I've actually seen this in action. You're totally right. They do use it to change animations as opposed to applying it on the rig because it's really complex. A lot of games wind up doing that. A lot of times it's a lot neater for them to be able to do that. They use it for dialogue sometimes if the lips don't match up perfectly. There we go. So you can see we have a little animation to enter the shop. Now, it's a little blurry, and that's the camera's fault, and I can never remember what setting's supposed to change. There are settings you can change to make it look better, but I can never remember what they are, so I'll have to look at that later. But you can see that we now enter the shop. Now, once we do this, I actually want to stop the character from being able to do anything. So to do that, we can technically just stop their logic, but I prefer, especially if we're going to have other things where, like, we don't want the character to move, to just make a function, or just make a variable called, like, can move or something, and then we can just set that everywhere we need. Then this is also standard procedure, so no worries. Oh, we do have a can move. We really should have, like, a can anything, to be completely honest. What was I using can move for? I can't quite remember. Oh, when we die, yeah. Oh, it should be more than can move. We can still call it, we can still use this variable, but let's move it. Let's can act. Can we perform any actions, basically? Oh, it's already good. I've already done this. I just called it can move, which, like, I prefer can act. Oh, well, we're good then. We're just gonna set that to be false when we enter the shop. That was easy. Well, good. The last thing we need to do once we set this is we'll need to make sure, we'll need to load the item up with, the shop up with items, and then we'll need to pair an amount, like a value that they're worth, and then do the operation to grab, you know, the player that's interacting with it, grab the amount that they have and see if they can actually add it to the inventory or not. Is this it? That might be right. Thank you. Let me look. So you said Cinecamera. Focus settings. Okay. Focus settings. Focus method disabled. Let's see if that does it. If it doesn't, it's okay. Oh, you're the man. Good work. Good work. All right, so that is excellent news. Look how much nicer that looks. And now the paladin is getting in the way. Very cool. I'm very happy with that. So we should really probably hide the text as well, but it's fine for now. So, all right, cool. Excellent work. Hey. Okay, hold up. Yeah, it's more on animation level games like Last of Us have to use blend shape character morphs to get certain facial expressions that require a certain amount of bones if we're rigged. Yeah, absolutely. So I did not realize they were called blend spaces, but I am familiar with that. I don't entirely know the breakable objects what the standard is. I've seen it like I was telling you about earlier. We can actually cover that. I'll try and go over that and see. Sean, I'm so stupid. Hello there. You're not stupid at all, my friend. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. Steven's here. That is crazy. Steven says, cool. Hey, Steve. So nice to see you. Now, when the character enters the shop, so let's go into our character again. Our paladin character even. When he enters the shop, we actually want to set can act. Oh, God, is it not? I have to go. Oh, man. Wait. Blueprint, read, write, edit anywhere. Wait, what? Hold on. What happened here? Can act. Is that not what I... Oh, I pulled off the shop. No. All right. Sorry, guys. I just closed that for no reason. All right. I had a moment there. Sean, your friends from high school say hi. Hey, Steve. How you doing, buddy? Very nice to see you. How has life been? I don't have any friends from high school. I don't know each other. I have you as a friend. I have Zach as a friend. Dave is a friend. Hunter didn't go to our school, so you know, I'd say just my childhood friends. Alright guys, so if you're not an idiot like I am, you can just do set can act normally and set it to be false here. Now we do need an exit shop as well. That can be actually part of the shop UI. I wanted to birthday raid you, but I forgot that you were streaming on YouTube. Man, I missed out. I am sorry. Is it your birthday, Snatchin? Is it your birthday today? Because happy birthday, my dude, if it is. I'm not sure if it is. Nice. I'm glad the Japanese name Guy Girl is here to offer technical support. Wait. Oh. Sorry. I just realized what you were saying. Hey, you know, I don't know how to pronounce that either. So I just call them by their Discord name. Thanks, man. Yes, it is. Another year older. Hey, you deserve it, buddy. I am very glad. Sorry that I missed your birthday stream. I was working till 5:45, and then I hopped over to this, so I am genuinely sorry. But happy birthday. And everyone should say happy birthday to Snatchin' right now. He deserves it. Alright, guys. So now, at this point, we still have 40 minutes, and we're at basically the last part here. And what we want to do here is make it so that we can actually pull up a menu and buy something from the shop. Now, we can use another data table to determine what's in the shop, or we can actually just give the shop an array of class types or item types, and then you know, each shop can be customized differently. I'm actually going to do that. Now, if you have like a lot of shops, like you're in an MMORPG, you're going to want something like a data table probably, because you can just like put in the level space or the shop name or something like that and find the row and find the information. Since I'm planning on having a few shops throughout the game and maybe each shop has different items, I can handle it with just an array. And you can do it with just an array. It's not really going to be any... I don't think it's going to hurt one way or another in this case. But you are going to have to do a lot. If you have like literally hundreds of shops, you're going to have to fill out all the shop information. Don't be sorry is very spontaneous. Well, you know what they say, spontaneity is the spice of life. I don't think they say that, but they say variety is the spice of life, but I just made that up on the spot, so it, you know, it wasn't too bad. Let's go to our shop one more time. So now when we enter shop, so we play this, once this is done playing, so you can add a little delay if you want. You know, I usually try to, oh, this isn't a function, so actually I can't do a delay. I have to break out the function. I usually try to, well, okay, so here's what we can do. This is a little gross, and I don't really approve of this, by the way, but I'm going to do it just to make it look a little bit neater. If we knew our animation was always a second long, you can just do a delay when you enter a shop and then pop up the widget. So we're going, I'm not going to create the widget yet because we don't have it, but we need to get a widget for the shop. Sorry, why are you, like, get out of here. So high up on my screen. So let's make a new widget yet again, and we'll call this like shop interface. I should probably call it widget, you know. I'll just leave that, that's fine. Shop interface widget. Now, we can make this as neat or as ugly as we want. Since I don't have all the time in the world, I'll kind of go through this just a little bit quickly. I'm honestly going to make it a little bit closer to how our inventory is, where we just have a list of items, we can have a vertical box, and we can choose from there. We can make these things neater in the future. As long as the functionality is in place, it can be as ugly as you want. You could even have it not showing up and still have the functionality in place and change it later. So that's what I'm worried about now. Let's get the functionality down. Let's do another vertical box. I know it's ugly and I apologize. Let's do another vertical box. Wow, I got that right on 0, 0. You guys have to admit that was pretty skilled. You know, you make it whatever you want. Like, it literally does not matter. There we go, something like that. And then we need a shop widget as well, just like we had an inventory item widget. We need a shop item widget. It is going to be different than an inventory item widget, not just because of where it's being added, but also what it includes. It's going to be, I guess, the name of the item, and then I mean, the worth of the item, but I'm almost wondering if we should just, let me see something real quick. Shawnthebro. I like that, Snatchin'. Thank you so much. Appreciate that compliment. And Monday Hobson, Shawnthebro. I like it, guys. Thank you for the support. All right. I'm going to do... Did I open that? I hope I didn't open that. That takes forever to shut. Okay. So what I'm going to do before we do this, and I want to go into our base item, base inventory item. So the only problem with what I'm about to do is that the base inventory item, you know, there could be... So what I'm going to do is in the inventory item here, I'm going to add variables just in the blueprint because we already have the base item as its own class. The base inventory item is the blueprint, that things that go into our inventory. So this is going to be, this can be armor, this can be like health pickups, things like that. So we're going to want to make a variable in the base inventory item. That way not all the items have it. And we're going to give it value. Okay, we just give it value. We already have the name, but we want to give it a value so we know what it's worth for buying or selling, and maybe they're different. I won't make them different for complexity's sake because it's not really necessary to show off in this episode, but we can make it an integer and it'll be value. So it's like 96 coins or something, right? So here, now all base inventory items will have a value. So what I actually want to do is the shop item widget. No, the shop itself needs to have items or item references, or it needs to hold the data of the item. So it's going to have an array of items with its data filled out. The items themselves will be created and cleaned up when the shop spawns, or when you enter the shop and when you exit the shop. You know, if we're getting into like, you can only buy one thing at a time, or sorry, not one thing at a time, but like you can buy one thing, there's only one quantity of it. We're gonna need to keep this in the data table. Like, quite frankly, I don't see any way around it. So I'm trying to debate if I want to do that right now. I might not do that right now, because it is going to be actually rather complex for that part of it. If we're starting to get into like, there's a certain number of them and things like that. What I can do is have the list of the values and the items and things like that, and then spawn an item, create an item, and put it in the inventory. So the only problem is once we buy it, we do have to remove it from the list. I guess we could just make a blueprint version. All right, you know what? Let's do this. I'll show you what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. So the base inventory item, it does need a value still, because if we're going to buy or sell an item, we can assign the item the value for each item. However, think about it this way. We're trying to buy an item from a shop. If we're trying to buy an item from a shop, we need to know all the information about it. But we don't really want to make an array of objects just to see the information of the objects in the shop. It's a little bit weird. It definitely eats up a lot of memory in comparison. What we can do is have a different structure that has all the values we need. We spawn those, and then we create an item if the user buys it and add it to their inventory. Okay? That's what we'll do. We'll keep this new structure that we make a blueprint only structure, and that'll help us tell the difference. So we'll go into logic, and we will make a new structure, and we will call this shop item structure. Okay. So what do we have to know about these things. We have to know, what the heck is string? Sorry, skipped over it like that. We have to know the name of the item. There's more things we need that we're not really going to get into, but I'll still make them. We need to know the description of the item. We won't get into this. We need to know the value of the item. This one we will get into, value. And we need to know, you know, we can get into stats and stuff later too. We can make an image of the item as well. What this image looks like on the widget. So we won't use this right now. But again, another thing that could be useful. So we have this shop item structure. So this is like a pseudo shop item, a pseudo base pickup class. It basically has all the data we need without creating it and storing the references to it. So all that logic isn't going off just by being in the array. But now we can have an array of these in each shop. And again, if the user buys it, we can create an object of that type, fill out the information, and then add that to the inventory. The rest will be cleaned up when we close the shop and we're in business. So the base shop BP is going to need an array. It's going to need an array of items. So it's going to need, we'll call it, I mean, we can call it item array. I mean, we can be upfront about it. Item array. In fact, I'm just going to call it items. I don't think we need to specify. I think items will be more than enough. We want to make it the structure that we just made. So shop item structure. And then you make an array just like this. Now, each shop is going to be different. So I am not going to fill out the defaults here. Instead, each individual shop, I will go ahead and apply it. So, sorry, I have a lot of things open, so. I mean, they can stay open. All right, so for this, I'm going to make it visible. The items array is going to be visible. That way I can see it out here. And I'm going to give this guy, I'm going to give him just 2 items for now, okay? We won't make this complicated. Let's just do it so we can see it working and in action. Now we want the name of the item. So I will call this like item. I'll make it, you know, I'll make it specific, but I'll make it very easy. Shop item 1. This is the description. Now, I'm not going to use the description or the image today, so those can really be ignored, but I do want to use the name and the value. And the value for this will be like 3, and the value for this will be 5. Actually, the value for this will just be 1, and we'll make this 3. So I don't have to put a bunch of the coins around the map. So now this shop has like this pseudo data that we can use. All right. Now, when we enter the shop, we want to create objects based on the shop's data. So, what we can do now is we're doing a delay once we enter the shop, and we want to create a widget that has the shop. It's the shop interface widget is what I called it. Okay, and we don't have to add this to the viewport yet. What we should do is fill out the data. So the shop interface widget is going to basically just add, right now it's in a vertical box, so we're just going to add different items to it. So really what we care about is the shop item widget. And what we need to do there is we're going to create the shop interface widget, and then we're going to create the, we're going to loop through. We're going to do a for each loop of, we have our base shop BP, we have our items array, so we get our array of items. Just like this, and we can loop through our items. For each item we have, we want to create a shop item, create widget of the shop item class, not the interface, the individual items. Okay, and now let's go ahead and make our shop item widget. So for this, I'm going to use a button again. I know it's ugly, but at least it's clear what's going on. So for this, I will make it like item button, right? It doesn't really matter. And then we can make this, I don't know, a good size, like, right? No, that's way too big. Okay, maybe just something like that. Now, a button actually can't have more than one child. Did you know about the Guilty Gear beta that's running this weekend playing? It might give you new ideas for the fighting game series. I did not know, but I'm more than happy to check it out. And absolutely, I'm always up for more ideas, so thank you for letting me know. Now, this next part's going to be a little bit weird, but I think... I mean... Okay, I'm going to do this. I don't really love what I'm going to do here, but without having more time and more data set up for this, we're going to make it a little bit ugly. The logic is going to be good. The actual, like, look on the screen might be a little bit ugly. I'm going to call it item data. I'll give this an outline size of 2. And then what we need to do here is name. We'll do a line value like this. Okay, this is how it's going to look. So we can increase this a bit if we want. We don't have to. Something like that. And we can then bind the text here. Actually, I don't really want to make a binding for this. I'm just going to make a function that we call and set data for. I know, there's no binding. I apologize. Undo. There we go. What doesn't it like? What did I remove binding? There we go. It just didn't like that it was a non-value. Weird. Weird that there wasn't like a default case. But anyway, now we have name, value. So, okay, let's go back into our character where we're spawning this. So we create the interface and then we loop through and we create a widget for each type. Now we need to set the data for this. So let's make a function called setItemData. And it's going to take in, it's going to basically need everything that we're going to need to be setting for it. So we can actually just pass it a structure, the shop item structure, and say item data. Now we'll just say data. That doesn't get confusing. And then we can break off. Now, there's more things we'll want to do with this, but again, for being trying to be quick here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a variable, our item data text, again, to try and separate these things so they're not confusing. And I will take the name and I will do append on it, and then I will append this symbol just to kind of divide it up, and then the value. Alright, and then what we can do is grab this, get the text box, and set the text within the text box to this value. There we go. Alright, and this is called the setItemData function. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create these objects and we're going to call setItemData with the data that's in this array for this item. Right, I think that's pretty simple. And then, on top of that, we want to add this item. I forget exactly, did I make this a vertical box? Needs to be, okay. Item vertical box, we'll make this a variable. And this is going to store our items. So if I go back into here, then I can drag off of this, get item vertical box, add child the vertical box, okay, and then once the content is going to be the new item that we spawned. Alright, there we go. And now it's been added to the vertical box, but this hasn't been added to the viewport yet, which is on purpose because we want to make sure that everything's ready and in the shop. That way we don't see it filling up. So we've added to here, and once this loop is completed, trying to make this as neat as possible. It does get tricky sometimes. Then we're going to add to viewport. Okay. And we're going to add the widget. The actual interface widget. There we go. I probably missed a few things along here, but let's just see if we got the general gist here. There we go. So, by the way, speaking of missing things, I did not miss. Just a quick flex on them real quick. But anyway, all jokes aside, so we have our shop, we have it doing the animation, it populates with the items that we give it. The last thing we need to do is when we select one of these things, we check if we have the appropriate currency. If we do, subtract, and then add the item to our inventory. Create an item and add it to our inventory. So I want to quickly add a space to each of these. That way it looks a little bit neater. And yeah, so I will do this. All right, so now what we need to do is we treat this button as the way to purchase the item. So on press of the button, remember, we're creating new buttons, so each button will have their own logic. We're going to get the item. Oh, I do realize that I need to actually save. I should save out this. Well, I should save out the value. I don't need anything else. So we'll save out the value. Well, I might need a few other things. Right now, it's okay. We just need the value. I'll call it item value. You know, we could make it nicer and add other things, like, are you sure you want to purchase this? And then we would need other things. But for now, we just need the value, and we can check if the owner of this widget. So what we need to do is go back to where we spawned this widget originally. We have this owning player. We can get player controller. We would get it of the player that owns this, that is interacting with the shop here, and pass it in. And then back into here, we could get owning player pawn, which gets the character. We can cast it to our type. And then we can get the, I forget what it's called, maybe coins. Getting them coins. We can compare it to if this is greater than or equal to the item value. If it is, we will purchase the item. If not, we don't have to do anything. You know, you'll probably make another box to say, like, oh, you don't have enough. Maybe it would be better to place buttons to another place and make them smaller. Oh, it will absolutely be better to make them smaller. But I'm just doing this for functionality purposes. I'm trying to fit everything in for the shop episode before we leave tonight. Because I like to, you know, try and make it a complete episode so people can follow it and learn from it. But yes, we will be making it smaller, trust me. It needs to be cleaner in a lot of in a lot of ways. But okay, so if it's false, we won't do anything for now. But if it is greater, if numcoins is greater than or equal to this, then what we can do is call purchase item on the shop. So I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. Really, we should have like a return value almost. We would need to get the shop. We do have we could use the overlap shop. So here's what we can do. We can bring this down here. Now, it was already casted before, but we did not save it out. So if we're going to do it here, we would have to cast it to the shop. We could also do the save it as a reference when we create this widget. For now, it's okay. I'm going to leave it alone just because, again, I'm trying to get this done in time. We will clean it up, but just know, you know, you don't have to cast this twice. You could save a reference the first time if you want to. And then we want to call purchase shop, or not purchase shop, purchase the whole shop. We want to make a function called purchase item. And actually, we don't have to do this in the widget, but Actually, no, it'd be okay to do it in the widget. I think that's okay. But purchase item, so we know if we're actually purchasing item, we can do our logic. So here what we can do is take the item. So I think what we should do is take the index of the item or the actual item details itself. So we could pass along the structure, or we could pass along the index from the shop. If we pass along the structure, we will have to compare later to see which one was removed from the shop if we have a specific quantity. So really, I think we should pass along the index and do the correct logic. So to do that, we will have to know what index we are in this, which I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. I almost want to move this out and into the shop so that it would know. It could have an item index in here, but that's a little hacky too. I'm trying to think what the best way is. We could do it a few different ways. We could have an index. We could actually compare it with the item. Or we could just remove that one and spawn up. If the quantity is the... Okay, so what we're going to do... yeah, that's what we're going to do. So, okay, alright. Well, now we have this purchase item, remember, and I was saying we could use the index. So, I think it would be better to just pass along the whole item, and then we could compare the item structures together. So either the different fields or the name. I prefer the index, but without knowing the index, you could save it out after we spawn it. Okay, you know what? Let's do that. That's okay. That's a pretty clean method. So let's go back into here where we're doing our logic to spawn the item. We should have a index in here. Item index. And we will know what index this item is referring to. So all we have to do there is when we set the item data, before we add it to the vertical box, so I want to grab these nodes and move them over. We want to set the item index. So shop item widget. Set. Actually, yeah, we'll keep it separate. Set item index. And then this can have an integer index. And then all we have to do is set the item index to the index. And now we'll know what index of the shop we are without passing along a huge structure of data. So this is good. All we have to do is call this now. Set item index. And for the data that we're passing into it, we'll want to pass in the array element. That should be more than enough. So we'll want to bring this array index in. I know there's a lot of things here, so I apologize. I will move this back one. And move that back one. Make it hopefully a little bit neater. There we go. And now we will have an index so that when we go to purchase the item, we can call purchase shop, or sorry, purchase item. And purchase item should have an index of the item we want to purchase from that shop. So integer index. And then we want to access the items array at that index. We can get a ref here. Get this up real quick. Okay, and what we actually want to do here, this is a little bit crazy. When we purchase the item, we want to spawn actor from class. This part could be done a little bit better because we're going to add it to the inventory. So if we spawn it from the class, we should really just be adding an object to the class without spawning it. But to do that, we will have to go over a few other things, which we will go over. We'll go over UObjects specifically. They're a little bit different from actors because they're not really spawned in the scene. They're just spawned as kind of data, and that's what we'll actually want to use here. But for now, since we're using the actor type, we kind of have to do it this way. So let's go ahead and spawn the base pickup. We could just split this here, but I'm gonna do a break because if we try and split it and it has like 4 fields, it's gonna be really ugly. So we wanna spawn this. I'm just gonna give it a random transform again because we're gonna actually do this through U objects and not actors. So these nodes will get replaced and it'll be a lot cleaner. But for now, this is fine. And we just want to set the different data for the base pickup. Like, we spawn it, so, you know, we can get name, or sorry, set name. And we'll set the value for it, too. Oh, I did make it a base pickup, though, and not a base inventory item, so I'll have to do that. Here we go, base inventory item. And then we want to set the value as well. And you could go through and set everything if you want. For right now, this is all I need. So I'm just gonna set these. Also, again, to make sure that we finish this on time, because I do want to make this a full episode for you guys. It's a little bit close together. Let's move those apart. Let's do this. I don't know, something like that. No, it's not the cleanest, but I think it gets the job done. So now we spawn this item, and we give it a name and value, and then the last thing we have to do is add it to the character's inventory. So call purchase item, and then really we should have a character reference here for the character that's interacting with the shop, because again, if we're thinking of multiplayer and the characters can enter the shop separately, then we're going to want that. So I will say we'll just call it character reference, but this is the character that is in the shop. We don't need it to be an array anymore. And we want the Paladin character BP. Okay. And then we're going to get the character reference and add to, I don't think I have an actual function for that, but we can do get inventory items and add it. And we won't do add unique, because if you want to have more than one of the same item, that's perfectly fine with me. Something like that. That's good enough. And now that should be in our inventory after we purchase it. I think I did everything. And grab the index and actually put it into the item index here. And there we go. So at this point, I just need more coins, which I can actually just copy them if I want. I will move the teleporter. That way it's not like in the way here. And then I'll move the bronze key. Well, yeah, I'll move the bronze key. Let's not make things more confusing than we need to. You know, we may need to change the level design a bit here. But we can copy and paste these as much as we want to get a bunch of coins. Okay, so we can get 5 coins right here. So if I go into the shop, we can use it. Actually, yeah, I realized that. So this is not going to have a character reference because we did not set the character reference. So after we enter shop, actually we can do it even right here. So we can do set character reference. Straighten. And then we can get a reference to self. Yeah, it's gonna be an ugly one. Okay, sorry about that. It's a little ugly, but hopefully you get what's going on here. So we're now giving the character reference to the shop after the shop, or after we enter the shop. That way, if I am to go over to it and interact with it, then I have these items I can use, right? But just realized something else too. Purchase item is only if number of coins is greater than the item value. The item value. Let's see, did I assign this? 1 and 3. Okay. Did we start with any coins? No. All right. So we should not be spawning objects. I think we are spawning objects actually. Base inventory item. We are spawning them. Let me look at this real quick. Item value. Oh, the item value starts at 0. That's what's going on here. It doesn't get called because we don't check that. So the item value, I'm gonna make it like, I mean, we don't have to give it a default. Let's just set the item value to, should be in here. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I just never set that. All right, hold on. So the item value, this is for set item data. We can do it right in here. And connect these. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to connect it. There we go. So now our item should have its value and should not be spawned. I'll just double check this. We could put logs if we have to, but I'm pretty sure that's the issue. So now I should be able to... Excellent. So nothing's being spawned here, so this is good. Now what we will do is I will open my inventory. You can see there's nothing in it. Right now I can't really close it, so when I have something in there, you will know. So I'll go actually pick up this guy, just so you can see it. So I have an item in there. Now I can go interact with the shop. I won't be able to because of that, probably, will I? Yeah, I can't because of that. Alright, hold on. So that is actually taking my focus at the moment. So I can't pick up an item beforehand. But check this out. So we have nothing in our inventory. And then now I purchase this item. You can actually see it spawn back here, which is not, again, we'll use U objects so it doesn't spawn a real actor in the scene. But you can see it works. It doesn't take away because I haven't made it take away. But I should also be able to purchase this one. And now if I look through the world outliner, I should be able to see base inventory item 1 and 2. So now if I am to, I can't actually get out of the shop, but I can open up my inventory and you see I have shop item 1 and 2. If I keep doing it, then I have a bunch more of these. So there you go. Yeah. We actually have a working shop. I mean, it's not clean. We have to be able to exit the shop and do a bunch more stuff. We have to get rid of the coins. We have to remove it based on the index. We have to see if there's a quantity. We have to add the description and the image. As Anima Mundi said, we have to make them a little bit smaller and make them look a little bit nicer. So there's plenty more to do. We will probably actually have a second episode on shops here because I would like to do all that. I feel like it would be a good thing to do. I think it's looking really nice. I'd like to do that. So I think the next episode will be like shops part 2. When we do finish it, I will go over equipping the items that we went over. We started going over in the previous episode, so we'll be able to put like an armor, you know, a helmet on as armor for our head, and I'll actually show you how to attach to a certain spot, how to kind of deal with some of the clipping as well. I don't really know anything about cloth simulation, but there are some tricks you can use to help with some clipping issues on tube, like solid objects. So I'll try and go over that as best as I can, and I think we'll go over that after we finish the shops. So next episode will be like, I don't know, it's hard to make. Next episode will be a combination. I'll start with finishing up the shops, and then we'll go into equipping the armor. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but just so those that watched this before know what you're getting into. That's what will be next episode. I do want to finish up the shops. I would prefer to just make that really nice and neat, because it's a little ugly right now, and of course there's still functionality missing, like exiting the shop. So I think let's do that. I think we'll do that in the next episode. And we will also get to the main menu stuff, Everglades, I promise. I just, you know, I spent a lot of time on other stuff, but in my opinion, it was worth it. It was a lot of cleaner things that make it cleaner. So I'm very satisfied with it, but I apologize that I did not get to that today. But yeah, so we'll do plenty more in the next episode. Now, I may not stream this upcoming Friday because I will have some family down here. We'll see. It does depend on what they are doing and what we are doing on that day. So if anything, I may even do just a shorter stream, like an hour stream. And maybe I can finish this up in an hour and just wrap it up in like its own episode. But we'll figure out that when we get there. So thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. It does more for the channel than anything else, and I just really appreciate it. And that's my outro for my regular videos, but I felt it actually applied here, so I said it again. Otherwise, just general notes for the stream schedule. I know I had gotten a few questions because I uploaded one of them. So I uploaded, there were 3 streams that I had done. Like I did them on Twitch, so I don't have them uploaded on YouTube except on my Twitch account, and on my Twitch's YouTube account. So I'm uploading them. I'll upload one a week. I'll make them unlisted and then make them public. It's supposed to not send you guys a notification, but I think it actually still did. So yeah, I will be uploading the 3 that got missed. I already uploaded the 1. I'll upload the other 2 that got missed throughout the week. And yeah, that's all. I just wanted to let you guys know that. So thanks again. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for being here. I can't wait to come back and finish this up next week. So that's all I got, guys. So thank you so much. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.